Morning, Craig. I just really, really blessed, and a great thing to just remember how blessed we are, especially as we're moving. Y'all, we're about 6 weeks from Easter. I know, which means that next Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. And I have to tell you, that's part of the blessing too, because it is one of my favorite services that we have here at Unity on the Bay. And so I really want to invite you and encourage you and ask you to join us this Wednesday here in this very room. It's actually going to be only in person. So if you normally connect with us virtually, but you're local, this would be a great time for you to take the drive and join us in person. We're doing it in person because of the nature of the service. And so it's going to not only have the ashes and that beautiful symbology of the ashes that we'll get into on Wednesday, but we're also going to have a sound healing bath. And so it's going to be a very contemplative, very heart-opening experience that we invite you all to join us for. And it's going to be the kickoff to 40 days of just sort of prepping for Easter, for that Christ nature to be re-inspired within us. And so if you came into the room this morning, you may already have picked it up. You can pick it up on your way out. If you're watching from home, this is a booklet that we have here in Unity for the 40 days of Lent. This one is 40 days of letting go. So what are the things that we can let go of? It has some really great practices and affirmations to use during this time of preparation before Easter. You can pick one up on your way here. If you're at home, you can let us know. We'll mail you one, or any of you can just download a PDF copy if you go to our website. But join us on Wednesday for Ash Wednesday. Join us in the preparation and in the process of being willing to step into our Christhood in greater ways as we get towards Easter, and just be a part of it, be a part of receiving and being the blessing through it. So you can only imagine, you've heard songs about love, meditation about love. It just so happened to be Valentine's Day. What do you think we're talking about this morning? Love. There you go. And you know what they say about love, right? If you love something, that old adage, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it was and always will be yours. If it never returns, it was never yours to begin with. And if it just sits in your living room and messes up your stuff, eats your food, uses your telephone, takes your money, and never behaves as if you actually set it free in the first place, you married it. For some of us, that rang a little bit more true than others. In speaking about love and in wanting to just share a little bit more about love, I really came to, realize for myself that the path of love is really the path of freedom. It's really the path that we set for ourselves in the self-realization that beyond all the stuff, we are simply love. That's what God is. We can call God whatever name we want it. We can experience it in many different ways. For me, at the core of it is just an understanding and a presence of love. And we get to commit ourselves to love, and especially during this time when, you go to CVS and Walgreens and you see all the signs and all the greeting cards, or you may just even be experiencing people out and being loving to each other. It's a really wonderful opportunity to really question for ourselves, how can I go deeper into this knowing of love? How can I set myself free to experience love in a different way? And what are the blessings? What are the gifts that can come to each of us as we open ourselves up to that love? Now, I know that during Valentine's, we tend to think of more the intimate relationships with a significant partner or spouse or anything like that. And by the way, about 20 of us spent Valentine's Day at our Absolute Abundance course. So, I can recognize that, yes, we may focus ourselves on some specific intimate relationships, and every single relationship that we have is intimate. whether we recognize it or not, or has the potential to be intimate. And the invitation is to really own that. That in every single relationship that we have, whether with a significant partner, whether a friend, a family member, a coworker, your relationship with Unity on the Bay, your relationship with God, your relationship with the community and the spaces that you inhabit, all of those relationships are places where a deeper sense of beingness can be birthed within us. And how do we take the offer up, right? How do we allow ourselves to really live into that opportunity in all of our relationships? One of my favorite Bible verses, some of you already know this, is where two or more are gathered, there God is, right? For me, it's because it's in our relationships that things show up. Have you noticed that? Yeah, you may pray and meditate on peace and harmony and on love, and it's when you get to a relationship that, oh, okay, wait, I'm going to have to practice this. I'm going to have to embody this, right? And for me, it's because that's where God is. It's in our experience of these things. And God itself is the evolution and the deepening that we are invited into. Now, especially since we're having our vow renewal ceremony in a little bit, for those couples that are wanting to be a part of that today, really thinking about vows that we take. And so some of you may have taken vows within an intimate relationship. I was really thinking about how special it is, right? When you enter into a significant relationship like that and you move into marriage, you take vows and you speak those vows in front of your friends and your family, and you speak them out loud, right? And there's power in speaking it out loud. It made me think how many other relationships that I have that are intimate, and again, the potential for intimacy is in every single relationship, where we don't speak the vows, we don't speak our commitments, and yet they're there. And maybe we're not fully aware of the commitments that we are making, and in every single relationship, we are committed to something within the relationship. Whether it is to see the Christ in the other person, whether it's to, live into old patterns that no longer serve us in those relationships, whatever it is, we are making commitments. You know that for me, it's all about being conscious of the things that we do, of what we are experiencing. Les Brown actually once said, I don't think that as a participant in life, you cannot be committed, but you're either committed to mediocrity or committed to greatness. What's your commitment? What are we committing to in each of our relationships? Now, I don't know if I would say, mediocrity, but I know that there are some relationships where I've committed to seeing myself as the victim, I'm committed to not fully stepping into my greatness, being shy of showing up as my full self. There are old patterns that I continue to sort of live into, and I'm committed to those, consciously or unconsciously. How powerful if we were to be able to make vows and speak vows in every single relationship that we have and own those vows, right? And so my invitation for us is to be more conscious of the commitments that we are making on how we are showing up in each and every one of these relationships. And, the more traditional vows, right, for better or for worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, all of that to me is just can we hold the vision of ourselves as love regardless of the circumstance? When it feels good, when it doesn't feel good, when it's easy, when it's challenging, can we step into it? Now, Charles Fillmore, co-founder, says, love is an inner quality that sees good in everywhere and in everybody. It insists that all is good, and by refusing to see anything but good, it causes that quality to finally appear uppermost in itself and in all things. Doesn't say that everything has to necessarily looks at the beginning like there is some good or that love is showing up, but the more that we allow ourselves to see the good everywhere and in everyone, it moves things, it shifts things so that more good can actually step forward. It's almost like, I see you there, come on out. I see you there. I see you in that person. Come, express yourself. I see you in this situation. Come and let me live in that knowing of love, whatever may be going on. And now I know that seeing good in everything and everyone is hard. Anybody think it's easy? Okay, good. All right, so then I wasn't alone. It's hard. It can be challenging. It's difficult. And I think that when things can be challenging or difficult, it's because there's such great opportunity. And so I've been thinking about not only how we can live into this knowing, but how being in love and being conscious of the love that is shared in all the relationships that we are involved in, whatever they may be, it itself asks us for certain commitments. In order for us to really commit to love, I think for me, we have to be committed to a few other things to be able to live into that love. And first and foremost, the first commitment that I think we all are invited to make so that we can experience ourselves as love, God as love, and love in our relationships is to seek God first. First commitment that we can make at any point, seek God first. Matthew chapter 22, verse 37, 38, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment. How are we living into that? How are we seeking God first in everything that we do? In whatever may be appearing in our lives, a situation or an individual, can we take a moment, step back, and ask, where is God here? And allow ourselves to become more conscious of the presence of God that we know permeates all. And to make space for God in these situations. I was thinking, when I love somebody, I invite them to my house. I open up my living room for them or dining room. I make space for the people that are in my life, right? How am I making space for God? How am I allowing myself, right, to invite an awareness of the presence of God in? And how am I welcoming that awareness? And so, yes, in moments where it can be challenging and people that it may be hard to love, or it's easy to love a lot of the times, except for every so often, how am I, we know, we've been there, how am I creating the space? So through prayer, practice, meditation, whatever, taking a step back, taking a breath to create that space and ask ourselves, how can I experience more of God in this moment? How can I not define love or myself as relating to somebody else, right? Or find our happiness, like so many times in relationships, we're trying to find happiness in others rather than recognizing that that joy and that love already is. And the more that we seek God first, the more we'll be aware of how it just shows up and allows us, and it's the fuel by which we can extend happiness into our other areas of our lives. Now, I also believe that there's a commitment that we have to make to the Christ essence, to the Christ that we are. And so, yes, to seek God first. Where is God here? How can I create the space for God? How can I go deeper into God? And then how can I embody it more fully by recognizing the Christ within and following the Christ? Right? Like, it's not enough to know these principles. It's not enough to know that we are the embodiment of that Christ consciousness. It's like, can we live it? Can we actually practice from that space? And sometimes it's easy. You get that guidance, go left, and it's an easy, right. Go right, and it's an easy right. But sometimes it's go left, and you're like, wait, that may not feel so good. That might be challenging. That may be difficult. That person isn't so lovable in this moment. This situation isn't one that I want to allow to show me more love, more light, more peace, more of the presence of God. One of the greatest love stories in the Bible isn't between a spouse and their significant other. It's the story of Ruth and Naomi. Now, how many of you know the story of Ruth and Naomi? But Naomi and Ruth. So Naomi's son married Ruth. Actually, it's one of the most beautiful stories about just even family. But so Naomi's son marries Ruth, and Naomi and Ruth's husbands pass away. And so all of a sudden, like Naomi is telling her daughter-in-law, go and just do your own thing. I'm going back. I'm going back to where I came from. And Ruth, in that moment, recognizes the deep love that she has for Naomi and says this. It is from Ruth chapter 1, verse 16. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. What a beautiful love story. And it's a love story that we get invited to live. Could we love the Christ within us in this way? That wherever that Christ inspiration and guidance is telling us to go, that we could just say, where you are leading, I will follow. Regardless of how difficult or challenging it may be, regardless of what other people may say, whatever it is, Christ consciousness that is within me, whatever you are wanting me to go, I will go. Whatever it is that you want me to do and express in any situation, I will do, even when it's easy, even when it's hard, because I simply follow the Christ. No questions around it. I am so in love with the Christ consciousness that is within me that there is only, yes, I will follow. But again, for me, it's partly is, well, first the commitment to seek God first. Seek first the kingdom in any situation that we're going through, and then asking love, asking the Christ, what would Christ do in this very moment? What would the Christ nature that I am have me do? And follow through. Do the practice. Move into the embodiment of that which has shown up as our Christ. And then it's a commitment to see the potential. To see the potential. How many times have we allowed ourselves to be fully committed to not seeing just what is taking place in the world of the senses, but to see beyond it, to the potential that lies within a difficult relationship, a difficult situation? I think Jesus, our master teacher, was excellent, about it, because he didn't see just the people being sick, right? He saw beyond it, and he saw the potential of wholeness and health in all those that he served and all of those that he healed. And he actually was able to inspire them and bring them up to a place of knowing their wholeness and healing. And so Jesus was able to move beyond the senses, move beyond the situations, move beyond the stories, and see the potential. How many times can we step back from, this person is bothering me, or I don't know how much I can love in this very moment, and step back and really see the potential. Wait, there is love here. There is love that can be stepped into more fully. There is love that can be lifted up. Last week we said, one of the kindest things that we can do is to see the Christ in all. To see the Christ in other people, to behold the Christ in us, and then be able to see the Christ in others. And so the question becomes, regardless of what is taking place in the situation, are we an expression of building up love or tearing it down? Are we about building up the kingdom, or are we about tearing it down? And that, to me, is really like us having to think through, what are we really committed to? What are we committed to? The way in which God is expressing in our lives, or the ways in which we just may not want to deal with it, or may not want to do the work of following that Christ and that guidance and that inspiration to be who we are meant to be, to do what we are meant to do. In the way of the mastery, it says, and where love is chosen so that you want nothing else, you will see nothing else but a lovely world, infinite in dimension, sparkling in clarity, radiant in beauty. You will look upon it and say, behold, it is very good. The moment that we can commit ourselves to really seeing the potential is the moment where we can choose to be love in expression and be able to start experiencing love in greater ways. Charles Roth, who was a Unity minister, speaks to what it means to, for me, what it means to embody these commitments? What happens when we really step into the commitments that I believe love is asking us for? The commitment of seeing God in everything and everyone, the ability to take a moment and take a step back and seek first the kingdom. Not seek how to be right, not seek how to get your way, not seek how, whatever it may be, but to seek God first, to then own our Christhood and follow that still small voice may be asking of us, that we may be too timid to have said yes to in the past, but this is the opportunity that is before us. And to seeing the potential, he says, love shines through your hands as a healing touch. Can you see yourself as that? As the expression of healing, that just your love shines so brightly through who you are because you've remembered your truth, that it's as if you are giving this healing balm to all those around you and in your own life. That it shines through your eyes as understanding and faith. When we step fully into love, I believe we have a deepened sense of understanding of what truly is taking place, who we are and how we are to show up, that we can see through faith that God is always present, even in places where we may not realize it just yet. And it shines through your smile as a wordless message saying, I love you and I behold the Christ in you. It's about being conscious of the commitments that we are making in every relationship. Imagine if the commitment is to say, whether out loud or within, but to really feel and know, I love you, regardless of how intimate we believe that relationship to be, and I behold the Christ in you. See, this is, I think, the opportunity that is before us to really release and let go of these self-imposed blocks to experiencing love, to acknowledging God in all situations, to recognizing our truth, and then to follow through with the truth that shows up as us. And in the moment that we do that, we experience love's presence, God's presence, wisdom. We experience all that we are meant to be. We experience heaven on earth. And that, to me, is what relationships can bring us to really recognize, to really know, and to really live into that which we say we believe. It's where the practices, the meditations, and the prayer become active in our lives. And so I don't know what's before us this week and who are the people that we will connect with this week, and whether it's going to be easy or it's going to be tough to love them. Whether it's going to be easy or tough to remember to seek God first. But I know that that is part of what we are asked to do. And I know that, especially in moments where it can be challenging, the more we remember the presence of God as love in our lives, the more grace we will feel. The more we will recognize that everything that we need in order to show up as love has already been bestowed upon us. I know it can be tricky to express love in certain situations and with certain people. I know that it can be difficult, but by the grace of God, we don't have to do this alone. We actually are directed not to do it alone. We are directed to trust the divine presence of God in our lives. I know that we do need God's grace and strength to love others. And guess what? We have it. The oneness that calls us to love one another is the same oneness, is the same one that enables us to do so. Because God is grace, God is love, and we are the expressions of both. And so, thank you for visiting our YouTube channel. We post new videos every week to keep you positive, present, and inspired to your divinity. So now please click on the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell. Remember to share this with your friends and family. We love you, we behold the Christ in you, and we see you doing great things.